The following program is furnished by Kirk Word Media and is responsible for its contents. It's Sunday, it's sunny, and golf is great. It's time for the Hozel Rocket on ESPN Radio, your Sunday golf show with PGA Tour winner Joel Edwards and his caddy Brady Tinker. Now on 103.3 FM, ESPN.
Good morning to you. It is time for the Hozel Rocket. Your Sunday morning golf show is up and on the air. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I am very proud to be a father of five. My father is still alive and still my best friend, and this is a wonderful day for me and a wonderful day for all of us. And if you're a golf fan, you would love the U.S. Open and watching the U.S. Open, and then the teary moments that happen at the end so often when the winner is standing there in an embrace with his own father on Father's Day. It's amazing stuff. We're glad you're here. I'm Brady Tinker. Joel Edwards, 16-year PGA Tour player and winner on the PGA Tour, is my host for this show, and unfortunately at the minute he has had to step out for a small emergency, but you and I will get this started. The show's going to be fantastic. We're going to go through the 117th U.S. Open right here off the top, have a special guest in the second segment. Story time with Uncle Joel will include U.S. Open champion David Graham on to talk about one of his two majors that he's won. He and Joel go back years and years, and Joel will tell you a great story of how David actually helped him and pushed him to get on the PGA Tour. So you're not going to want to miss that. That'll happen at 8:25. David Graham, U.S. Open winner. And then in from crappy to happy, lots of stuff to do. We're going to talk a lot about the grass that's at this U.S. Open and how difficult it is. There are 3 cuts of grass at the U.S. Open, and the fescue makes it 4. So what kind of shots do you play when you're looking at a full shot from these different types of grass versus what kind of shots do you play around the green? All that stuff will be talked about. Certainly there's been a lot of conversation about the sand. The sand is native sand to the Wisconsin area, so it has lots of pebbles in it, so the texture is different for these guys. But the 117th U.S. Open is underway. Joel Edwards, good morning to you, and happy Father's Day, friend.
Happy Father's Day to you, Brady.
Good stuff, buddy. Good stuff. David Graham coming on, your old friend and a mentor of yours in the second segment. I'm looking forward to that. Justin Thomas, off the top, I think deserves our attention.
Wow.
63, the greatest round of golf, am I good with this?
Yes.
Ever shot at a U.S. Open.
Obviously, it was incredible. I mean, wow.
And if you aren't aware of it, Johnny Miller did shoot 63,
right.
But on a par 71 golf course, so he was 8 under. The 63 for Justin is 9 under par. The 3 woods he hit coming to the house stand out. The whole round stands out. But
it's incredible.
What 14 is a reachable, in quotes, par 4, 288 it played, and it was just, as Justin said, just a perfect little folded over 3 wood that he hit about 8 feet. Now, he didn't make the putt. Then he hit another one from roughly 290 that he had to draw at 15 to the par 5, and then he had to hold off one a little bit at 18 because he only had 278 to go, and Cut had a chance to hold the green, and he hit it 6 feet. Incredible. And made a putt for 63 under all that pressure. And he was well aware that 63 was the number. He was not aware that actually his 9 under, technically, is the greatest round ever shot versus Johnny's 8 under.
Well, he did an incredible job. You can't, you got to take your hat off to that boy. That's incredible.
Something else. He shot 59 this year. The kid's won 3 times already this year. This is not a major surprise, nor is it a fluke.
No.
The fact that he weighs about 178 pounds dripping wet, and he is basically
138. I don't think
both feet off the ground every time he swings a big driver. It's great stuff. Brian Harman is atop the leaderboard. There may be some people saying who on Brian Harman, but as a supreme ball striker yourself for all these years, you have an appreciation for left-hander Brian Harman's game of just basically hitting every shot perfect.
He hits it solid. It's a beautiful golf swing. All you got to do is look at the golf swing. Look how beautiful it is.
So simple.
Balanced, it's beautiful. He's got speed, too. You really don't think he hits it long, but I think he hits it plenty long enough for that golf course. It doesn't really matter. I mean,
it's amazing because it seems like that golf course is not that long, yet it's the longest U.S. Open golf course in history. It's over 7,600 yards. Folks, you and I want none of that. It'll just be a day full of work. Tommy Fleetwood sitting at second, tied with Brooks Koepka. I love the Koepka game and swing. Yeah. Justin Thomas, of 63, got him tied for second at -11. They're all one back. Ricky Fowler maybe in the best spot for Ricky, and that he battled through what seemed like a tough round yesterday on a day when everybody seemed to be going lower, and posts a very good 68, and he's just 2 back of Brian Harmon. Sung Woo Kim, I think I said that right, is just good. And if you don't know about him,
TPC, that tells you
well, a
right
couple
there.
of years ago, he won a couple of tournaments at age like 19 or 20, and then he kind of disappeared, and then he won the TPC, but he's 21 years old, and
He'll be around a while.
He's amazing.
For that golf swing.
More Americans. Russell Henley, Charlie Hoffman, Patrick Reed fires an early 65 yesterday to get himself in the hunt. They are all at -8. Bill Haas, one of my favorite swings on tour, -7. Snedeker is there at -7. So it's a great leaderboard, but it also, Joel, is a leaderboard full of guys who are, when they're going to win, first-time U.S. Open winners. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, it's great.
We've had 8 straight first-time U.S. Open winners. 8 straight. Mm-hmm. Now, for those of us who don't pay that close of attention, is that shocking to you that 8 straight people who've never won?
No way. I think it's great. I mean, somebody's got to win their first one. I would like my first one to have been the U.S. Open. Mm-hmm. Any major, but I mean, especially for the U.S. Open, my goodness. I think it's great. It shows a lot about the USGA. How it's just the best player this week is going to win. It's just that simple. Who plays the best? That's what the USGA is after. Who they find is the best player that week.
The list is Tiger Woods in 2008 with his bum knee. Wins the U.S. Open. Since then, on one leg. Since then, Lucas Glover won his first major and first U.S. Open and only major. Graham McDowell, same thing. Rory won his first of, now he has 4 majors, correct?
Right.
Webb Simpson won his first. Justin Rose won his first. Martin Keimer, Jordan Spieth, and Dustin Johnson. That is the list. Now, there are certainly names there, and I think you would tell me this, it was no surprise that Graham McDowell, Rory McIlroy, Justin Rose, Martin Keimer, Jordan Spieth, and Dustin Johnson won a major.
No. It's all going to happen. I mean, everybody's capable of winning a major. Everybody is. It's just a matter of winning one. Some of us get to play in them, but most of us get to, they watch them. Some of us are lucky enough to play in them, and some of us are really lucky enough and good enough to win a major.
Even getting to play in this is a big deal.
Oh, my God.
Tell me the different ways that guys get into this tournament.
Well, you have the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open, that's why it's called Open. Mm-hmm. There's a qualifying. I think you have to go through 2. There's a local and then a sectional. And once you're through that, you get to play the U.S. Open. Now, it's very difficult. You're playing against tour players and the creme de la creme of your area, of the section of the country. You're playing against the best to get in this thing. And once you have, like I said, the local spot is probably, I think it's 18 holes, I think. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the sectional, which is 36, and you're walking, and I guarantee you're playing against tour players. So, like when you place, let's say they have a qualifier in, usually they'll have a big qualifier in New York and Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. So the reason why they do this, all the tour players are there. So, or the next week, wherever that's Memphis, they've got another qualifier there. So that's where Strick made it this year.
So they make it easy for them.
Right. So they make it easier for them. So they're going to have a lot more spots there.
Okay.
And that's what they do. So you're going to play against really, really, really good players to get in the Open. There's probably 10 or 15,000 people that try, I'm guessing, maybe more. And 156 get to play, and maybe 35 or 40 maybe are exempt. That's not a really good number.
First-time golf course here at Erin Hills in Wisconsin. There was a major just a couple of years ago. The PGA was in Wisconsin, Whistling Straits. Mm-hmm. But that make a difference to anybody as far as this is a first-time event for this course? Most of them did not know this course. Jordan had seen this course when he was 16 or 17.
There's a few of them that have played it, I think. I heard that. You look at all the Walker Cups and stuff like that, and these guys have played this course a couple of times when they're younger. I was our generation, Brady. Sorry, we didn't know that existed out there. We knew it was out there because we heard about the reporting on TV for the last 5 years, but we don't know anything about it in here until we see it. And wow, what a place! I bet the place is busy the next month or two. Are people at home watching discounting this tournament because of the number of really good rounds? No. Is there anything to that? No. No, it's US
Why
Open.
Are they shooting these scores on this course?
Well, the golf course hasn't showed its teeth. I mean, there's no wind.
From what we understand, it may today. The wind is supposed to be up to
that would be good.
15 to 20 miles an hour. So,
which might as well be 100 on the U.S.
And
Open
that's right.
course,
And when Monday and Tuesday, when you were listening to them after practice rounds and walking it, and they were all saying, "Listen, if the wind blows, this hole are going to be brutal."
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You're going to have a golf course that's soft for one. It's rained a lot there for them. The greens are holding. I've watched yesterday. I was in a total amazement at watching some of these shots. I'm going to talk to Mr. Graham about that soon in the next segment. And I'm just laughing. I mean, these guys hitting these. Of course, they're hitting a lot of short irons too. Yeah, they're like 184, and they're hitting a little chopped down 8 iron.
And these little T-table greens.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and they're spinning it, and I just sit there and go, "Oh my God!" So. I think with the wind coming up, it's going to dry them out just enough where the ball's going to roll a little bit further, and it's going to get down into the first and second cutter rough, which is going to make it harder to hit your second shot. It's going to make it harder to chip, and it's going to make it harder to stop the ball. So I don't know if you guys were watching yesterday, but when you see like Ricky coming down the last couple holes, and I remember Zinger said something on I guess it was 17, where Ricky hit it about 3 feet in the rough, and he goes, "Ooh, what a break." Because his ball was sitting up. We're talking in the first intermediate cut of rough. His ball was sitting in the air. And
we will talk more about these different cuts of rough and the grasses and from crappy to happy in the final segment.
And that's like I just started laughing. I go, he's exactly right. Well, what did he do? He hit on the green, 2-putted. If that ball's 1 inch down, it just moves just a little bit. He's got probably a 60-yard sand wedged into that back right pin there, or front right pin. Which I don't know if you saw a couple guys chunked it down there, and then he chunked it back. I think Brendan Steele did it twice. So you got anything like that can happen at an Open at any time, and that's what this golf course has not shown. If you miss the fairway, I mean really miss the fairway, you're in a lot of trouble. So this one here is you're I don't know, boy. I just think it's kind of funny how Mr. Johnny Miller said what didn't typical of a U.S. Open.
Yeah,
golf course,
and if you didn't hear that, it's unfortunate. Justin Thomas shoots 63.
Yeah,
flatly, the greatest round ever shot in U.S. Open history at 9 under par on a 7,650 yard golf course. And Johnny Miller, who shot the last 63, says, "Congratulations, that's pretty good." But the conditions are set in such a way that it doesn't really look like U.S. Open to me. And that's me paraphrasing. That's not exactly what he said, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, but, in defense of Johnny, I guess as far as a layman's, like what we looked at U.S. Opens from years ago, like, Marion,
Baltusrol, Oakmont.
So, it doesn't look that way. I understand that. But Shinnecock looks that way. There's a lot of U.S. Opens that look that way. And look at where Jordan won, Chambers Bay. That looks pretty similar to me, except Chambers Bay played exactly the way the USGA wanted it to. This one's not playing the way the USGA
Chambers Bay
was
a rock.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So this Erin Hills has no teeth yet, but I'll bet it shows some today. Sunday's a different round, believe me, from any other round during the tournament.
And one of the things that TV is very good, as opposed to when I was watching Trevino win in 71, because you can really see a lot.
First of all, it's got color.
It also has color, which is wonderful. Life is good. But the other thing that they can't get for you, for the most part, is these awkward looks and angles that you see off the tee. So, yes, there's been a lot made of, it's 50 yards wide the fairway. Sometimes 55 or 60 yards wide. That's a wide U.S. Open fairway.
Oh, these are huge.
But you look at some of these angles, and all the players said this early in the week. Listen, it may be 50 yards wide, but when I look out there on about 9 of these holes with a driver in my hand, it looks like it's 10 yards wide.
That's why they're wide, exactly, because the guy, I feel like an idiot. I don't know who designed it, but I do know one thing. That's a sign of a good architect that can make it look tight and even though it's not. Jack does that a lot. Jack Nicklaus does that a lot, where the fairways are very generous and yet from the eye it looks so tight you couldn't. If
you're playing a Jack course and you can't tell where it goes, it generally goes to the right.
Generally.
Jack and his fades. When we come back, this is the Hozel Rocket, and happy Father's Day to all of you. We are thrilled that you're with us. Hopefully you're getting to play golf today. Hopefully you're getting to spend time with your kids and your family. It is the 117th U.S. Open. It is the Hozel Rocket with 16-year PGA Tour veteran Joel Edwards, and I'm Brady Tinker. When we come back, David Graham won 2 majors. One of them was the 1981 U.S. Open at a traditionally bear of a golf course at Marion, firing 67 on Sunday. Let's hear what it takes on Sunday to win a major championship from a friend of Joel's, David Graham. When we come back, Steve Winningham, American serviceman and hero, will join us as well for that interview. When we come back, this is going to be good stuff. Don't go anywhere. David Graham coming back when we return to the Hozel Rocket right here on ESPN Radio 103.3 on your FM dial.
It's the Hozel Rocket on ESPN Radio with PGA Tour winner Joel Edwards and his caddy Brady Tinker on 103.3 FM ESPN.
Welcome back to the Hozel Rocket, your Sunday morning golf radio show, the weekend of Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of your fathers, to my dad, to my stepdad. I love you both so very much. It is 117th U.S. Open week. I know all of us will be spending a ton of time in front of the television. Early reports from the U.S. Open in Wisconsin are that the winds are blowing 15 to 25 miles an hour. So the golf course that we haven't seen, this may make Johnny Miller happy, and that's what we got up to do this morning, is to give Johnny Miller the U.S. Open course that he wants it to be, but too damn late because the greatest round of the U.S. Open has already been shot. You can go back to bed. Happy Father's Day to you. David Graham will be calling us in this segment, U.S. Open champion from 1981 at Marion. Also won the 79 PGA Championship at Oakland Hills. 2014 World Golf Hall of Fame inductee and 40 worldwide wins. Steve Winningham, American serviceman, hero, and a part of this show, and a guy that, very frankly, for over 20 years, just made sure all of us were able to do damn thing we wanted to do. Steve, are you on the phone?
How you boys doing today?
Good morning, Steve. Happy Father's Day to you. And I know this is a good day for you, as you have a young one that struggled with his health a little bit there. I'll bet it is a great day this morning, waking up and getting a kid something to eat.
It was absolutely truly blessed to see him this morning and his journey into this world. But I also want to give a shout out to all my teammates and their kids today that are celebrating with a heavy heart. As their father gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms and for us to enjoy the show and today and anything we want to do. So I'd like to give a bless to them, and hopefully they're in everybody's thoughts today.
Absolutely, buddy.
Amen to that, buddy.
Both of you guys are friends of our upcoming guest, David Graham. Steve, how do you know David Graham?
We met through Team 43 and doing some local veteran work here in Dallas. He's an amazing individual and dedicates his life with 43 and making sure the servicemen have an amazing recovery and welcome back and appreciative of it. And he's just been a true icon of the game and a true icon of Dallas and an inspiration to me.
David had something to do, Joel Edwards, with you ending up being a professional golfer.
Yeah, he did. It's really cool. I mean, I guess we can do that now.
Yeah.
David Graham, I was playing at the Olympic Club. Winnie, I don't know if I've told you this story. But I was playing at Olympic Club, right? And I qualified for the U.S. Open in '87, and I was young and stupid and whatever. And I get out there and I'm playing.
Handsome?
Well, that's a given. And I had a mustache then too.
Oh, that's too bad.
It was pretty gross.
Yeah.
And so I was playing a practice round, and I got paired. Well, David Frost asked me to play, and David's a good buddy of mine.
Good player.
Oh yeah. So he had Steve Pate and a guy named David Graham.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there going, I'm playing with the U.S. Open champion. Wow, this is really bizarre. So I'm playing with him, and it was really funny. We were playing, and I think I lost $20 to him or something. And we get done, and he walks up to me and says, I want to talk to you. Can I have a few minutes with you? And I'm going, oh, man, what did I do? And so we sit there, and he says, son, I hear you're a club pro at Bear Creek in Dallas. And I said, yeah, I am. And he goes, well, he says, I want to tell you something. He says, you're good enough to play out here. And I kind of just looked at him. He says, you need to get on one side of the fence or the other, son. Meaning either be a club pro,
mm-hmm.
which you'll be good at,
mm-hmm. or
get on the tour because you can play the tour. And I had never heard that before. I always thought I could. But here's a guy that won the Open telling a kid, you can actually play the tour if you just put your mind, but get on one side of the fence. Right now, you're just taking up space.
Pretty big stamp of approval.
Yeah. And I quit 2 weeks later, and I got my card the next year.
16 years.
Yeah.
16
So
years
David
on the
Graham
tour.
was a huge inspiration to me. He always
Pretty
has
nice,
been,
too.
always
I mean,
will
he
be.
didn't know you
He
from
didn't have to
Adam,
do
right?
that.
He didn't have
He
to do that.
no, he
I
didn't
mean,
have to do that.
a $20 win didn't make him obliged to make you feel better about your game.
No, it was amazing. I was just shocked that he said it to me.
He shot 67 in the final round, too. And as he got up that morning, George Burns was 3 strokes ahead of him. Bill Rogers, a very good player, 1 behind him. And very Tiger-esque, Jack Nicklaus was 2 strokes behind him. So when he's stomping around in the woods, and he shot 67 and ran away.
He put it to him.
Yeah.
You know, I'll say this to you. I'll tell everybody out there, whether you know it or not, David Graham hit every fairway and every green on Sunday.
Mercy.
And on
a U.S. Open golf course.
U.S. Open golf course.
At Marion.
At Marion. He hit every fairway and every green. 1 3-putt and 4 birdies.
So
that
you figure if anybody hits every fairway and every green today at the 117th U.S. Open, they're going to win?
With that much wind and that much tide, it's incredible. What he did is, I don't know if it's ever been done again. I would doubt it because, when Tiger won by 30 or whatever he did at Pebble Beach, he still missed a bunch of greens on Sunday. I can't remember anybody doing it. Even Dustin last year still missed a bunch of greens.
Well, of
Not a bunch, but he missed
people
them.
that we watched striking the golf ball, the leader, Brian Harmon.
Yeah, would he hit 14 yesterday?
It looks like a candidate. If anybody's going to hit most every green and most every fairway, it would be him.
But you got to think about that. Under that much pressure at the biggest tournament in history of golf, right then that year, and you pull it off. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I've hit 18 greens. I know I've hit 18 greens before many times. Within 10 maybe.
Right.
But, that's a lot. But, I'm not talking many times, like hundreds. No, just maybe 10 times in my career. That's incredible. Not me, what he did.
Yes.
Me, I just got lucky. But the thing is, that's amazing.
Okay, as we look at this leaderboard, points of view, while we're waiting on David Graham to call us, Brian Harmon has the lead, but he's never won a major. He's only won 2 tournaments in his life. One of them, luckily for him, was in May. Yeah. And so his point of view...
He's riding high on some confidence. That's what's going on.
But it's the final damn round, and now the wind's blowing.
That's good for him. I think it's great to be in the lead when you've got the wind blowing. I really do, because the golf course is not going to give up a whole lot of birdies.
Let's go to Justin Thomas, who fired the greatest round ever fired in a U.S. Open at 63. Yeah. Certainly he's riding high confidence-wise. Does it ever come into your guys' head when you shoot these amazing rounds of...
Can you do it again?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was kind of waiting for a call or somebody to ask me that, because that's... Yeah. Because I doubt if you're going to go back-to-back. It's just, he knows it. Everybody knows it, but you never know. Somebody gets on a hot streak. These guys get on a hot streak. This kid's played good. He shot 59. He shot 63 in the Open.
He's won 3 times this year.
It wouldn't shock me if he did it back to back. It wouldn't shock anybody, but I would doubt they could go back to back. But you never know. I would say, you watch me.
Based on what we know this morning, 67 or 8 will win today, most likely.
Sure,
right?
Depends on which group you're in, though.
That's a good point.
If I'm teeing off first, whatever else and I shoot 68, I'm going to finish top 20. I can promise you that.
Many people rooting for Ricky, 65, 73, and battling to a 68 yesterday.
That's a great round, by the way.
68 yesterday. Yeah, especially with what he was going through, and especially with people shooting 65, 67, 63 in front of him.
Yeah, he shoots one of the high rounds of the leaders.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And I was impressed with Koepka yesterday, too. Same thing.
Yeah.
Bullets flying all around him,
right?
And he shoots 68, and a bunch of times in the last 7 or 8 holes, he hit the smart shot.
Absolutely.
And he is such a hoss that he wants
be good.
to take aim.
It wouldn't shock me if he won it.
All those guys played U.S. Open golf.
But, anybody can win this thing. Me, personally, I like to see Harmon win it because I don't know him, but, I'd like to see Justin win it, too.
Yep.
And, Justin because of Jimmy Johnson.
Well, you picked Justin to win a couple of weeks ago because you just said that putter's smoking hot, right?
Yeah. So I think, do we have Mr. Graham?
Hello, David Graham. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Oh, well, it is a pleasure to welcome you to our little Sunday morning golf show. I'm Brady Tinker. This is the Hozel Rocket, and you're on the phone with Steve Winningham, who I know you know very well, American serviceman and hero, and Joel Edwards, and we're thrilled to have you here. David is a 2-time major winner, has won 40 tournaments worldwide, and in 2014 was inducted in the World Golf Hall of Fame. And I'm going to let you two guys take this, okay?
Hey, David. Thanks for talking to us. It's awesome to talk to you, man. Thanks for coming on.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Hey, a lot of people don't. I was talking about it earlier in the segment that a lot of people don't realize that you hit every fairway and every green at Marion on Sunday. What a great feat!
Yeah, that was a good feat. In those days, it was considered very rare. But some of these boys now, these young guys, can play awfully good golf. And I mean, Justin Thomas yesterday just tore that course apart.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it was pretty neat with old golf balls and old wooden clubs at Marion and stuff like that. It's a different game now.
Yes, it is. The ball goes a lot further. It doesn't have as much curve on it, and we're not. Most people don't realize that the ball back when. Well, I hate to date myself, but when I learned to play, the ball curved a lot, and you could look at a golf ball and you'd cut it. You know what I mean? So if you hit it thin back then, it was like, I need a new golf ball. So
I think one of the great advancements in the game has been the performance of the ball and the way it's manufactured relative to the old golf balls, which were like, marshmallow compared to the ones they use today. But that's good. That's progress.
Yes, sir. Hey, let me ask you a question. I know you're familiar with Winnie, our Navy SEAL, and I know you play a lot of golf with President Bush and Trevino.
Right.
How's it playing with Trevino nowadays? Is he and President Bush? I know they can give anybody a hard time. Are you excluded, or are you just prone?
I just wear earplugs.
Yeah, well, because you're not going to get a word in with those two. I can promise you. And,
well, I occasionally do, but it's very short. It's nice putt or a good drive, but there's not a lot of rhetoric.
No, there's not, and I know. Yeah, I've been there, done that, and I think it's so much fun. But I know that you play with Winnie, and I know that you're a member of Team 43. Isn't it great that we have these men and women that have sacrificed so much for us to be that they play golf? I think it's just great that they play golf.
Well, I had Winnie out at my club a couple of weeks ago, and I also had Jason Stammer out there, who's Army.
Yeah.
And Stephen was maybe not going to get invited back. He was out driving me by 40 or 50 yards and hitting little wedges when I was hitting 6 irons. And so I've got to really, think whether I'm going to ask him back again. He embarrassed the daylights out of me. He played so well.
So, Winnie, are you there still?
Yeah, I'm still here.
And what do you got to say about that?
He's forgetting that I still lost, that he still beat me.
I asked him about the drive on 16 and the little wedge shot that he hit there on the hardest hole on the course. He made a birdie. No, I love 43. I love what he does for the Warriors. There's a lot of professionals that participate in his 2 days, the dinners, and to listen to the soldiers tell their stories and to see their families come to dinner and to be able to spend some quality time with them on the golf course. It's about the only way that I can say thank you for their contribution, but it's just neat to see these guys love golf so much and to hear their stories. It's very compelling. It's very heartwarming.
I feel the exact same way. I think that I just think it's great that we have these people, and I just love the fact that.
Well, we should talk about the president's book, Portraits of Courage, because Winnie's in there and featured quite prominently, and all of these portraits that he has done of these wounded vets is just remarkable. I would strongly recommend that people go out and buy this book done by President Bush. The paintings are fabulous. The stories are wonderful. I mean, it's a gut-wrenching, heart-feeling good book, and I would thoroughly recommend it.
You're listening to 1981 U.S. Open champion David Graham here on the Hozel Rocket with Joel Edwards and Steve Winningham chiming in as well. Keep going, buddy.
Hey, Mr. Graham, I want to ask you a question. Who do you like today? I mean, I know that's kind of a tough-end question, but I'm just curious on who you like. I mean, I have my favorites, but I think it's – I don't know. I just want to hear what you got to say. You've won the Open.
Well, you got to like Justin Thomas. I mean, my goodness, that round he shot yesterday, those 3 shots that he shot at 18 yesterday, he's maybe only one of about 2 or 3 players in the field. He and Copa can knock it on in 2, so they're pretty dominant on the par 5s, which is big. I really like this Brian Harman. Brian Harman's a straight hitter. He's got a beautiful left-handed putting stroke. It'd be neat to see a left-hander win the Open Championship.
I feel the same way.
Brendan Steele's tough. The most popular guy, I guess, in the field is Ricky Fowler.
Sure.
Tommy Fleetwood played great yesterday, and you go down the list, not very far, but this Si-Wee Kim is a really fabulous golfer.
Yeah,
So it's an open book today.
I think it's going to be. You're going to see a lot of different shots today that you didn't see during the week because it is Sunday. First of all, now I'm guessing that. No, I have played at the Open on Sunday, but I haven't been close to the lead. But anyway, but I've played in one, and it's different. So. I know we're going to.
Well, I think this one's particularly different. I mean, I've never seen a U.S. Open that had difficult greens, but these greens don't seem to be super fast.
I know.
A lot of 20, a lot of 30-foot putts being made. You don't see that very often in the U.S. Open. And you've got 60 to 65 to 70-yard fairways. You've never seen that in the history of the game before.
No, never.
So, they're getting off the old USGA are getting pretty generous with these guys. Used to be straight was the requirement, but there's no defense against the length. I mean, there's 650-yard par fives, and they knock it on in two. So the only defense that a golf course has got is rough and narrow fairways.
I know.
You give these guys 60-yard fairways, they're going to bomb it every hole.
Every hole, they're going to swing hard.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Graham.
And the scores prove that,
Yeah, Mr. Graham, God bless you, and thank you for spending Sunday morning with us. I appreciate it so much.
Happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day. Thanks, Steve.
All right.
You got it, Dave. Thank you so much for all the help and for me on behalf of all the veterans. Thank you so much for conveying your passion to us and taking care of us. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks,
great. David Graham, the great David Graham. Thank you, guys. This is the Hozel Rocket right here on ESPN Radio 103.3 on your FM dial. When we come back from crappy to happy, how do you play out of the rough? How do you chip it? And how do you full swing it out of the rough? Joel Edwards will tell you.
Rocket on ESPN Radio, where we make the crappy part of your golf game the happy part on 103.3 FM ESPN.
Hey, we're back. How about the Hotel California there, Saad? Way to go.
It's right up our alley.
Yeah, I can talk music if you want to, people. I mean,
don't.
But anyway, I played golf with a guy that wrote that, Don Felder. Anyway, but my buddy, Vince Gill, is now a new Eagle.
He is.
Yes.
And is Vince Gill going to be on this show anytime soon, sir?
I don't know. It depends on if he wants to or not. He keeps saying he's going to, but he always avoids me on Sunday morning. So I'm going to get him one day. Okay. We'll talk golf and music and Eagles. And
he may not ever talk to you again. Vince Gill's an Eagle. He's an
I know.
Eagle.
Well, I will tell you this, and Kirk Word, the guy that owns this show,
Kirk Word Media.
Kirk Word Media, and I was at his house, I don't know, 6:30 on the way to come up here one morning. I got a text from Vince. And it showed me a picture of him and Don Henley and
I saw that
picture, and I'm going. That's all it was a picture. And I looked and I just said, "What the heck?" And I text back with a question mark, and he just texts back with a big smile. And I said, "You're an Eagle?" And he goes, "Yeah." Oh my!
It's amazing. You're listening. Good Sunday morning to the Hozel Rocket, your Sunday morning golf show. We appreciate you. The 117th U.S. Open kicking off this morning in Wisconsin. Reports are that the wind is up.
Yeah.
The wind is up. David Graham just got through talking to us. Thank you so much.
A U.S. Open champion.
U.S. Open champion from 1981.
Cool?
David Graham shot. By the way, we didn't get to get everything in with him we wanted to. We started a little bit late, but 67 on Sunday with Nicholas breathing down his neck and Bill Rogers right there and a couple of guys that were in front of him. And I'm telling you, at 67, as you said, he lapped the field at Marion.
He lapped them, man. You got to realize every fairway and every green.
Every fairway and every green on Sunday in a U.S. Open. You got to be kidding.
I know he probably didn't hit every one of them perfect, but you can't. But I'm just saying, think about that. That's unbelievable. And a lot of people don't think about that, but that is so cool that somebody did that.
Let's do little story time, little from crappy to happy right here in this segment. And thank you again, David Graham, for calling in and making this U.S. Open and Father's Day special for us at the Hozel Rocket. And thanks, Steve Winningham, yes, for helping us get that interview as well, and for everything that you do and have done for us. From crappy to happy in this segment, let's talk a little bit about the grass. But before that, it's Father's Day, and we meant to start with this.
You go ahead.
My dad and I are very, very close, still very close, and golf has been a huge part of our lives. And we used to play golf all the time. Now, when I was a kid in junior high and high school, we would go out and play, and at the end of the round, it's getting dark. I'm from Overland Park, Kansas, so we're in Overland Park, Kansas, playing at Overland Park Golf Course or St. Andrews, somewhere, nice little munis. And we would always play 3 more holes for the championship of the uncivilized world. And Dad would brown me, and I will let you know. You can probably guess what browned me. But Dad was about a 15 at his best. I was generally in those days a 3 or a 4 or 5, so I was going to win. But he didn't want any strokes, because he was going to brown me. He was very proud of it. And by brown me, I mean pitching wedge from in front of the green that he blades in those days, probably put a good cut in his Bellata golf ball. Sure. And somehow with string coming out of it, it managed to get to the edge of the green, and he would 2-putt and make a par and win. He'd brown me, or he'd hit a tee, a tree off the tee. Yeah. But ultimately, one of my last championship of the uncivilized round worlds with him in high school before I went off to college. It was getting dark. We played 3 holes, and I was in position to win on a par 3 at Overland Park Golf Course. I had about 8 feet uphill. It's getting dark. There's no one around. And he did not like to lose the championship of the uncivilized world. And he had not browned me yet on this day. And I am over putting, ready to go, just about to draw it back. And I hear this terribly weird sound. And I look up, and his Johnson is out, and he is urinating in the cup. He did not want to lose. And he said, "Go ahead, knock it in." Well, I had no desire to pull my Bellata out of a urine-filled cup.
Didn't know we were going there.
But I'm telling you, that's Dad, and that's Father's Day, and I never laughed so hard in my life. Because it was not like my dad. My dad was not that kind of guy. He was pretty straight arrow, but he couldn't brown me that day, so he urined me.
Okay.
So what do you got? Can you beat that?
No, I'm not going to try. Well, after church, no. Me and my dad. No, I'm kidding. We did go to church a lot every Sunday.
Well, that's good.
And Wednesday and Sunday. And I grew up in El Paso, and it's funny. I'm laughing at you, trying to picture that. My dad was a very, very highly respected man in at El Paso Country Club. Not because he was wealthy, because he was not. But I don't know. Trevino knew him, and a lot of people knew my dad. And just my dad was a World War II guy. Fought at Peleliu, stuff like that. So he's very stoic and all this stuff. So his son, this is the how I remember my dad. How I learned to chip, and I always chipped with a sand wedge, and I still do about 50% of the time. And
define sand wedge.
56-degree wedge.
Okay, go ahead.
And I don't have anything higher than that in my bag, by the way.
Okay.
I'm from old school. So my dad asked me, he wanted me to use a pitching wedge, like an 8-iron for running and stuff like that, and I just wouldn't do it. And he said, "I tell you what, you know, we're going to chip 100 balls, and if I beat you, then you chip the way you want to the rest of your life." I was like 14. You chip the way I do, if I win. So after 50 shots, I was 50 down. So I was thinking at 14 years old, I can win 50 in a row. In time, we can go in the playoff. Well, as the 51st one that I chipped a foot, my dad chipped it in. So now I'm down. I'm over. It's done. And I chip to this day, just like he taught me. So, and that's why I'm pretty good chipper. But I'll never forget that. That's how I, so stuff like that. It's not quite, my dad never did anything like that on the golf course like yours did. But,
lucky you.
But
I was so proud.
We had a lot of fun, and Trevino used to practice right next to me, and I don't know if Mr. Graham knows that, but Lee used to practice right next to me, and my dad said if you speak to him without him speaking to you, you're going to get a whooping. So I never spoke to Mr. Trevino. He said, "You speak until spoken to," and I didn't speak to Trevino until I got on the tour. If that tells you how much Trevino talked to me. Great guy.
Tells you how much you respected your dad as
Absolutely.
well. Yes.
I didn't want a whooping. I didn't want a whooping. I still don't want a whooping.
Yeah, nobody
I still
needs
feel
that.
like I'm going to get a whooping, too. I
Do
still
you?
hear his voice every day. He's been passed away for about 25 years. I still hear his voice every day.
Thank you. The Hozel Rocket is on your air right now here on ESPN Radio, 103.3 on your FM dial. Joel Edwards and Brady Tinker taking you through this Father's Day Sunday and a fun show. U.S. Open. Yesterday, Justin Thomas shot the best round ever shot with his 63 at 9 under par in a U.S. Open. Brian Harmon.
I don't think that's going to happen today.
The left-handed everyman is the leader at minus 12. And tip of the hat to him for, all that's going on around him, including 63 and 65s and 67s. And Brian Harmon just keeps marching down the middle and just hitting one smart, good shot after another. So you're not going to be surprised if Brian Harmon wins, are you?
No, I'm not.
I
I kind of hope he does. I mean, I want Justin to, play good for Jimmy. Jimmy's a friend of mine. I'm dropping that name again, but Jimmy Johnson, Justin's caddy, is a real close friend of mine.
And caddied for you.
And caddied for me. That's how he got his start on the tour, was with me. And then he decided to get a better job and go for Nick Price. Still mad at him for that.
I don't know if that's better.
Well, it was way better. I'm sure he got a bigger, right now, when he worked for me, I think he had a shack.
Now he's got a pool.
Now he's got a pool and apartment. Might have some NetJet time, too.
Justin Thomas is 63. Brian Harmon at the top. Ricky Fowler. A lot of people really, really rooting for Ricky Fowler, as am I. Brooks Koepka, Bill Haas. I just love the Bill Haas swing. All right, this is supposed to be.
I think anybody wins. It's going to be a popular win.
Well, and the wind is up. If you're getting ready to tune in relatively soon, the wind is up. All right, we got 5 minutes left. This is also from Crappy to Happy.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
3 cuts of rough, fescue everywhere. Not many of us listening are going to play from fescue or anything like that. It's also a link-style golf course.
Right.
What do you want to say about how to play this golf course and maybe how to affect some of the people that are listening and their ability to hit shots out of the rough?
Right. Okay, so you at this Open or any, say you were playing Stevens Park today, or you're playing Las Colinas, or you're playing Preston Trail.
There you go.
Well, there's a gamut.
A nice dichotomy, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, and most people at Preston Trail, they have Trevino and Graham out there and Cameron Doan, so they're not going to need me to hear this. But the thing is that when you get in this rough at the U.S. Open, the first cut of the Open, every course pretty much has it here.
Yes.
Maybe not the first cut, but they go straight into the intermediate rough on most courses around here.
Couple inches.
It costs them. It costs a little bit more to mow them a little higher, or a little lower, whichever one you want to.
And
look
also
at.
to feed them different ways to make them thick. Yeah.
That's right. So and they progressively get worse, progressively get higher and denser.
Right.
So that's what I was talking about, Ricky, in the first segment when I said, I remember Paul Azinger said, "Hey, look at that lie, what a break," and it's true.
Yesterday,
so the first cut is generally so you can see the top of your ball, and a little bit most of it, so you can get most of your club on the ball. It's not going to have a whole lot of spin on it, but you can still get most of it out of the first cut. You can still get most spin because if you're hitting a sand wedge from 110 yards or something like these guys can. You're going to get a little flyer and a little jumper out of there, but all that means is it's just not going to have that much spin on it.
Right.
And then you get the second cut, which is ball's going to probably drop to the bottom, and you might be able to see the top maybe, and that's a good lie in the second cut of rough.
In the U.S. Open.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's a great lie.
Yep.
Because you can advance that probably 180, 200 yards, especially with today's, as Mr. Graham and I were adhering to, is that with the golf ball now and the way it goes, you can hit it 190, 200 yards with an 8-iron. Maybe 210. Some of these guys, maybe even further than that. I don't know.
Not me and the people listening, but those guys on tour.
Sure.
Yes.
And then the third cut is, say your prayers when you get in there because, you can hurt yourself in there. You can advance at 150, 160, 170 yards now on this golf course, but I think Mr. Graham is right. At Mary and most other U.S. Open courses, you can't advance it that
Hit
far.
it sideways.
Right. You're going to have to chop it out to the fairway and get it there, which is what the fourth cut is at Erin Hills. You don't want in that stuff. And you've seen guys be in there, and they get lucky with a lie because it's kind of like the
farther back you go, it gets a little sparse sometimes.
Sure.
It's that first 3 feet that are
wispy
brutal.
stuff.
Yes.
It's the wispy stuff.
Yes.
And once you get past that, it's like that's the way it is at the British Open too. You can be on TV. It might look like the rough's up to your legs, and you can actually hit a 3-wood out of it because it's just so wispy in there. This is not going to be like that because on the bottom of this is really thick grass, and on the top it's just kind of wispy. So you're going to have all kinds of things. So crappy to happy. When I'm going to talk to people. So when you get in the rough, I want you to remember that a short iron, a 9-iron. Out of the rough will go just as far as a 7. You don't need to hit that 7
because of the flyer
because
nature.
of the flyer.
Okay, and a flyer essentially is
the grass
right. between the ball and the club.
Exactly.
So it negates the grooves.
Yeah.
Right, and a lot of the dimples on the ball, and the ball goes like a rocket through the air.
I always say it's like 2 down from each club. So if it's a pitching wedge, it can feasibly go as far as an 8. Now we're talking in the air. I'm talking bouncing in the air, called a flyer. It's going to fly at least the yardage you're looking for, and then it's gone.
Right. The bounce is going to be 30 feet.
And then it's gone.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. It's going to end up 160. Look how far I hit that wedge. Well, it's probably going to land the distance you want.
Well, then you know what you'll hear from the common
spin.
man is, look, I hit 9 iron. There went 160 yards. I should have hit my 4 iron.
Yeah, well, that's not the way it works.
Right.
It works backwards.
Yes.
So like I said, when you're in a 8 iron situation from the rough, your pitching wedge or your sand wheel will go almost as far as as the distance you need, unless you're having to carry it over water or a bunker. It's going to fly, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to get the distance out of it with the shorter club. Most people try to say, I'm 175 yards and I'm in heavy rough. I'm going to gouge a 5 iron. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not going to go anywhere. If you gouge an 8, it's going to go somewhere.
Quickly, why?
Because first of all, there's more mass on the club going to the ball.
Okay.
And then you're going to trap it. What I mean by trapping is the toe works down. It's going to kind of what I call smothering the golf ball. Okay. It's going to shoot off the face. So the face is almost elofted a little bit.
But then the degree of loft on the club helps the ball come out.
The degree of loft is what's going to make the ball come out. Because you're not going to have any spin on it anyway.
So if you get into the rough, shut down a 4 or 5 iron, you've got 0 degree of loft, and the ball's going into the grass in front of you.
You 7 or 8 iron, folks. 7, 8,
at the most.
9 at the most.
At the most.
Don't do that to yourself. Just take a 9, a wedge, and that's it. And that's what I would do.
Very good. Joel
Thanks,
Edwards,
guys.
Fantastic.
Happy
Father's Day to you.
Thanks,
Happy
buddy.
Father's Day to all of you out there. To David Graham, U.S. Open
Thanks,
champion
David.
from 1981.
Winnie.
You made our show. Thank you very much, sir. Steve Winningham, American serviceman, helped us set that up and was a part of that great interview. Stevie, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Happy Father's Day to you and that little boy of yours that you're probably looking at right now. The 117 U.S. Open will be underway this afternoon. The wind is up. It is going to be a fantastic Sunday morning. Thank you for listening to the Hozel Rocket right here on ESPN Radio 103.3 on your FM dial. See you next Sunday.
The preceding program was furnished by Kirk Word Media and is responsible for its contents.